Inevitably, Sandor gave whoever could endure it a very long lecture on what counts as success. So, if we want to try to get our bearings here, um, Sandor gave somebody, whoever could endure it, something, a very long lecture. So, Sandor gave a very long lecture, and he gave it to somebody. So, that means where we would start would be with Sandor gave and see where that takes us. So here's our baseline. Um, Sandor is the subject, and what did he do? He gave. So you sort of always have to jump in and figure out the subject-verb combination. Who did the giving? Sandor. What was Sandor doing? Giving. And that's our subject-verb combination. And then we have this inevitably hanging out in the front of the sentence. Notice you could move it around. You could say Sandor inevitably gave whoever could endure it, and that's a sign of that it's an adverb. Of course, the ly is a tip-off too. So it's how gave how. Inevitably, that's how. Or maybe when. Inevitably. Now, we've already seen that if you ask what was given, the answer is a lecture, not whoever could endure it. So that whoever could endure it is the indirect object. So inevitably, Sandor gave me a lecture. Me would be the indirect object, and that's what whoever could endure it is. But of course, that's not simply a pronoun like me. That is a clause, and we know it's a noun clause because, after all, it's an object. It's an indirect object, but objects are nouns. It's a clause, and therefore it's a noun clause. So we do our indirect objects on these things that look like prepositional phrases, but there's no preposition. So whoever could endure it, the verb is could endure, and who could endure? Whoever. So that's our subject, and could endure is the verb. Could is the modal verb, endure is the main verb. And what gets endured? Does anything get endured? Yes, it. So that is the direct object. So Sandor, what we have now so far is Sandor inevitably gave whoever could endure it. And we've already said that you can say what got given. That means there's a direct object up here for gave. And it's a very long lecture on what counts as success. And that boils down to lecture. Which lecture? A lecture. What kind of lecture? A lecture on what counts as success. So lecture is therefore the noun that everything else is modifying. Now we need, so it's a lecture. I'll put the a in sometime at the end. But what kind of lecture? One on what counts as success. So that's a prepositional phrase. So we need to, this time there is a preposition, on, and what counts as success is the object of the preposition, and therefore it's a noun, and since it's a clause, because it's got a subject-verb combination, what counts as success, what counts is the subject-verb combination, it's a noun clause. So actually I'll make that a little taller. Get not much. So what counts is the subject-verb combination. And counts how, because here we have a prepositional phrase, as success. That's how. So we need to show that prepositional phrase descending from counts, because it's functioning adverbially, because it's answering how, counts how, as success, and success is the object of the preposition. I said I have omitted the A. I can put it there. And I think that's that. Inevitably, Sandor gave whoever could endure it a lecture on what counts as success. So that's our diagram. The only thing left would be to say what phrases are here. So as far as prepositional phrases, we've got two that I see. One is as success, and that's modifying the verb counts, and therefore it's adverbial. It's answering the question how. And the other is the phrase, again, if we break off the diagram here before the preposition, I'll just get rid of that. We break off the diagram here and wave it around. What we are holding is something that says on what counts as success. So we have, and that's answering the question, what kind of lecture? One on what counts as success. So that is an adjectival prepositional phrase, and those are the two things that prepositional phrases can do, be adverbial or adjectival. Whoops. So the two prepositional phrases, you've got one inside the other, as success, inside of on what counts as success. And as far as noun phrases, notice that success, which is a noun, is not part of any noun phrase because there's nothing dangling from it. Nothing is modifying it. So what we want to do is find a noun that has something dangling from it, and the only one that there is lecture. And lecture is the head of the noun phrase, a lecture on what counts as success. Notice that the noun phrase has a nominal clause inside it. That's not unusual, but again, it reminds us that it's not right to say, phrases are small things and clauses are big things, because here's a clause, what counts as success, that is inside a phrase. But I'm seeing now that I have left out something very long. So let me get back to my diagram. Keeping them honest. So what kind of lecture? A long lecture. That's what kind. So that's an adjective, long. And how long? Very. So that's an adverb. It's answering the adverb question, how. And that's how we put an adverb that's modifying an adjective when the adjective is already descending to modify a noun. So that is, now we have the whole thing. So you've got the noun phrase, a very long lecture on what counts as success, and you've got the clause, the noun clause, what counts as success, not a phrase, a clause, what counts as success inside it.